Ronnie. Well, today it's been pretty good. I got in the house about 40 minutes ago. I just come back from the shops and I turned on the radio. It's been really noisy. We had one station from Spain who tends to be giving a lot of QRM. It's a nuisance station, and I just turned off the radio. I just had enough of him on 555. So I went shopping, come home, and I heard your country coming through very strong, and also Scotland's coming through strong as well. But then I'm looking on the cluster DX, and usually the UK is getting most of Ireland. But at the moment, I seem to be the only one around this part of the woods who seems to be pulling in Ireland, QSL.
Yeah, it works like that sometimes, Kevin. I don't really understand it, I'm looking on the DX27 cluster. I see one station here, but I'm not hearing too much, but that's the way it goes sometimes, Kevin. Kevin, how's the weather? I know it's probably very hot in the southeast of London, over.
Yeah, Roger, it's 27 degrees at the moment. It's blue skies, and I've got the radio in the kitchen at the moment because I have a Radio Shack, but it's about 35 in there at the moment. So we're just sitting at the kitchen table, in the well, obviously at the kitchen table in the kitchen, obviously, and it's still pretty warm in the kitchen as well. And tomorrow we're expecting around 30 and 32 degrees there, QSL Charlie.
When we had those temperatures about 2 weeks ago, we've had one of the best summers on record in this country. But at the moment, Kevin, it's about 18 to 20 degrees with heavy rain. So everybody in Europe is pissed off because it's raining here, over.
Yeah, Roger. Well, we had 2 days of rain, and it didn't do much. It didn't do much for the garden. I've still been going out with a hose pipe. There's no hose pipe banners yet. Well, I don't think there will be now. But I've still been going out with a hose pipe and giving the grass a bit of watering because I laid some seed earlier in the month on a bare patch. And I didn't realise that we're going to get so many hot sunny days. So I've been going out with a hose pipe, and if you look at it now, mate, I've got about 6 foot by 3 foot of green grass, and the rest just looks like a QSL.
We needed the rain badly here also. The rain last at the weekend, but this is probably the heaviest we've had in a while. But I don't know. The weather's crazy, Kevin. It's just gone nuts completely, And the knock-on effect is probably going to be food prices going up or whatever, But you made a good trip, Kevin, from the. Sorry, what is the name of my QDH name here is Monaghan. I think I maybe heard it. I'm about 120 kilometres northwest from the capital, Dublin, or in miles, I'm about 4.5 miles south from the North Ireland border, or about 6 miles north of the town of Monaghan, actually in the countryside. Up in the Radio Shack, Kevin, over.
Yeah, Roger, Monaghan. I've heard of it actually. I don't know. I've heard it maybe in a song or something. But we're in a place called Romford. I'll spell for you: Romeo Oscar Mike, Foxtrot Oscar Romeo Delta. It comes under the county of Essex. The postal code would be Romeo Mike 7. If ever you Google, just look up Romeo Mike 7, and that'll just give you an idea of my location. That's the sort of it's a small town in the east of London. It's the east side of London going into the county of Essex, QSL.
QSL and that, Romford, in the county of Essex. Yeah, what about the Essex Scarves, Kevin, over?
Yeah, Roger, you should see them at the weekends, my friend. I mean, I don't mind at the moment because it's summertime. They're not wearing anything basically anyway. But come winter time, they're wearing a miniskirt with high heels at -2 and -3 degrees. Can you imagine if us blokes were doing that and we had our kilts on?
We could get you arrested, Kevin. look at, Kevin, over.
Yeah, Roger on that. Charlie, if you don't mind me asking you, because I'm having a good QSO with you and because you were surprised to actually get into this neck of the woods, I usually do a video and I usually post it on my YouTube channel. It just gives people an idea because a lot of people don't believe that I'm using a wire on a fiberglass pole covered in ivy. It's actually stealth, and it's strapped to the shack at the moment, and it's got ivy growing up it. QSL.
That's well camouflaged. That's what I like about this particular band, Kevin. It's just unpredictable, and you never know what you're going to hear or who you're going to hear, and you always seem to come across the station your own there, which is amazingly working really well, you know. The video, work away, over.
Yeah, Charlie, what's the microphone you're using? Because it sounds really good. It's really punchy.
It's an SM20 from ICOM. It's a bass microphone hooked up to this ICOM. It's matching. It's one of the many matching ICOM ICOM mics for these. But I would be running a lot more power than you, Kevin. Like this radio is capable of over 200 whiskies on its own power, plus a running amp as well, over.
Yeah, Roger on that. Well, I'm using the a static. Let's have a look. A static 575-M6. It's an old static handheld teardrop microphone from America, and it sort of goes pretty well with this President Lincoln. The President Lincoln is my backup radio. My other radio is having a service at the moment down in Cornwall, and by a name of James. He's very good in doing repairs. It's basically a service, and it's a Yaesu Foxtrot Tango 840, and we run a Yaesu Mike Delta 1 bass microphone. That's the older version one. Yeah, it's really sturdy. It's made of I don't know what kind of material, but it's definitely not plastic. QSL.
Yeah, I know the microphone, and I know the radio because I did have one up until some time ago. I also have a backup radio. The big brother of that radio is the Yaesu Fox Tango 1000 Delta, the 1000D bass radio, and I have the MD1 here as well. Plus I run a high microphone in it sometimes. But I mostly use this one, Kevin. It's got the scope and a whole load of bells and whistles, but your radio is doing the same thing that this one's doing. So there you go. But I know that Lincoln, mine was the Uniden 2830. It was about 20 over 20 years ago. I was off the radio for a long time, and I used to run Turner microphones on the Lincolns or the Unidens or Lincolns on the same radio. And that little radio can be modified down into 25 megahertz. It can be modified way down low. But back in the day, Kevin, I used to run back then. It was 26 megahertz mostly, you know, because there was just too much QRM on the 27. That was 1992. Over.
Yeah, Roger, Charlie. It's funny you should say that. Actually, I always used to use 26 megahertz. And the majority of the times as well working Lima Santiago Bravo, and that's where I used to go a lot back in 1987-88. I probably would have called, I probably would have spoken to you before. I was living in a few places in London, but the most popular place was Crystal Palace and also in Leytonstone, and I used to go by Echo Delta number 1, number 2, and then also Foxtrot Bravo 01, and that was also then. So probably somewhere along the lines we may have had a QSO before QSL, Charlie.
That's a possibility, Kevin. As I say, I packed it in about I think it was 81, 82. I went off the air, and I'm only back on a few years altogether, just at the end of this cycle, basically. But hopefully it'll be popping back up again. The long distance stuff, 5 here. 5 and 7, 5 and 9 all the way, Kevin. So the old Lincoln's doing the job, over.
Yeah, Roger, Charlie, it's probably because I'm actually in your town as well. If I said I was in your town, would you believe me, QSL?
Yeah, I have QSO and those stations standby. Yeah, I would believe it, yeah, because your signal is probably something similar than a local signal. But yeah, it'd be very similar to a local signal here. There's not that many stations in this area, mostly up in Northern Ireland. I speak to a few stations up there. But to the south here, Kevin, it's difficult because, as you know, Ireland's not very flat. It's got a lot of hills and whatever, on this area, this part of it. I'm in the province of Ulster here, but I'm in the Republic of Ireland, over.
Yeah, Roger on that, Charlie. It's like here, there's lots of buildings, but to be honest, right, I was living in a place called Walthamstow, which is ironic, really, because I only moved here about 7 weeks ago, and I was living in Walthamstow, which is famous for the greyhound track, and not knowing that a few years later I'm going to be moving to Romford, and they also have a greyhound track, QSL. Roger, with the dogs and the girls, my goodness, what more can you ask for? But no, I think I've fallen on my feet. And, the funny thing was, right, no birds have been coming in the garden. I mean the feathered ones, yes? They've not been coming in the garden. I've not seen any. And I thought, what's going on? So I thought, okay, the house is not really lived in. People don't sit in the living room. People don't socialise. So I go out in the garden, trim the trees, the flowers, put some potted plants up and about, put a bird feeder, and before you know it, I've got birds all over the place.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the social, people don't interact anymore very much. It's all Facebook and the internet and all that sort of stuff, and it's just a different. It seems to be a different lifestyle nowadays. But I'm up here in the radio shack up the garden here. It's about 30 yards to the house down there, and I'm up here, and you wouldn't really know the shack was here, only that the towers are sticking up there. So somebody asked me one day, what's them things? I said they're for drying clothes, over.
Yeah, Roger. Well, when somebody saw my antenna with the ivy, apparently it's not real ivy. It's only plastic ivy I bought on eBay. I don't know, for £1.99 for 7 foot. You know what I mean? So I've got plastic ivy kind of entwined in my wire, and it's in the back. In the back is a great big tree. So if you're living a bit further away, you probably wouldn't see it anyway.